Back in 2023, I was working part-time as a delivery driver after my warehouse shifts. Most nights were pretty normal: wrong addresses, late customers, long drives across the city. Nothing that really stood out. But one Friday night around 11 p.m., I accepted an order from a small Chinese restaurant near downtown. At first, the order looked completely normal. The customer ordered a few containers of food and lived about 20 minutes away. The only thing that caught my attention was the address. It was an old apartment complex on the edge of town that I had never delivered to before. When I pulled into the parking lot, light rain was falling and half the lights outside the building were broken. The entire parking lot was almost empty except for one old truck parked near the far side of the building. Most of the apartment windows were dark too. The whole place felt unusually quiet for a Friday night. I remember sitting inside my car for a few seconds, looking at the building before checking the delivery instructions. That's when I noticed something strange. The instructions said, "Third floor, door already open, leave the food inside." That immediately made me uncomfortable. People usually ask you to leave food outside the apartment door, not inside. At first, I thought maybe it was an older person or somebody injured, or maybe they were busy with something and didn't want to walk to the door. Still, something about it didn't feel right. I actually thought about canceling the order completely, but I had already driven almost 20 minutes to get there, and I didn't want my completion rate dropping over what might have been nothing. So eventually I grabbed the food and walked inside the building. The second I stepped into the lobby, I noticed how quiet everything was. No TVs, no conversations, no music, no footsteps. Nothing. The only sound I could hear was rain hitting the windows somewhere deeper inside the building. The elevator was broken, so I had to take the stairs. As I walked upstairs, I started noticing how old the place actually was. The walls were stained, parts of the ceiling looked damaged from leaks, and the hallway lights kept flickering every few seconds. By the time I reached the third floor, I already felt nervous because the entire building felt unusually quiet. The hallway itself was long and narrow. Most of the lights barely worked, and at the very end of the hallway, I saw the apartment. The door was already slightly open, exactly like the instructions said. The inside was completely dark, not dimly lit, completely dark. I stopped a few feet away from the doorway and called out, "Delivery!" No answer. I waited another few seconds and tried again, louder. Still nothing. At that point, I should have probably just left the food outside and walked away. But before I could move, I suddenly heard movement somewhere inside the apartment. Not footsteps. It sounded more like something slowly dragging across the floor. The sound stopped after a few seconds. Then everything went quiet again. That's when I realized there was absolutely no way I was walking inside that apartment. I crouched down and placed the food outside the doorway. The second I stood back up, my phone vibrated. The order had suddenly been canceled. No message, no explanation, just canceled. Right after that happened, the apartment door slowly started moving. At first, I thought maybe air pressure from inside the building was pushing it closed. But then the door stopped halfway for a second. And right before it fully shut, I realized somebody was standing farther back inside the apartment, watching me. I couldn't make out any details because the room behind them was too dark. I just remember freezing for a second when I realized somebody was standing there watching me. Then I slowly started backing away down the hallway without taking my eyes off the doorway. The second I reached the stairs, I turned around and ran downstairs as fast as I could. I didn't stop running until I got back inside my car. I locked the doors immediately and sat there trying to calm down while rain hit the windshield. For a few seconds, I actually considered calling the police. But honestly, I didn't even know what I would tell them. The next morning, I contacted support because I never got paid for the canceled order. After checking the address, the support worker told me something that made my stomach drop. Nobody officially lived in that apartment anymore. That meant somebody had used an empty apartment to send me there. And honestly, I still don't know what their intentions were.